Content warning. The Wards of the State podcast may contain material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Hey, Light Shiners, welcome to another episode of Wards of the State. We are almost, I keep saying this every episode. It feels like I've been saying this for like 6 months. We're almost to 100 episodes, but I do have to let you guys know something. We need more lived experiences. So I know on the last episode, I was talking to a guest, and I know a lot of y'all are filling out the forms, but be patient with us. We're working on the scheduling. We're looking for an easier way so we can schedule further out for the year, because I know a lot of y'all like, hey, I can schedule in like 6 months or 8 months. And for us, that's a little too far out. We usually like to schedule 2 to 3 months out, but I think we're going to try to use Calendly so we can have like a whole 6 months scheduled out, because that's why the episodes have started to slow down. It's been a little bit harder. I know it's the holidays. It's almost summertime. People are traveling with their families. So it's been a little bit hard to lock down episodes for you guys, but we are trying our best, myself and my team. So if you know anyone who would like to share their story, please, please, please send them this episode. There will always be a link in the show notes for everyone to share their stories. You just fill out a simple form and we reach out to you and get you scheduled. So I really appreciate all of the listeners who come back every single week to listen to the lived experience from those of us in foster care and adoption. We are still in May as we record this, so it is still National Foster Care Awareness Month. So with that being said, make sure that you are supporting your community and your foster community in any way that you can, rather that be financially, rather that be volunteering your time at a foster care closet, or even considering being a foster parent. And you know, we need a lot more of those. And I know right now the economy is crazy, but if you have extra space in your home and your heart, every state is in need of foster parents that are trauma informed. So if you listen into this podcast, you're already in a good space to start your foster journey. So without being, let's see, anything else? Oh, ratings and reviews. Make sure y'all leaving a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and also make sure you subscribe to us on Spotify. And I don't have any other updates. The last update, TikTok Shop. You guys have been killing it on the TikTok Shop for the book 1 and book 2, Ward of the State, Memoir Foster Care, and Ward of the State, Abort the Adoption. The book 2, I just ordered 100 copies. So if you've been waiting for book 2, go on the website, karlosdillard.com. You can reserve yours, because I know so as soon as I put them on a TikTok Shop, they're going to fly off the shelves. A lot of people have been waiting for them. Thank y'all for y'all's patience who have. And if you've already received book 1 or book 2, can y'all start leaving some reviews rather on Amazon, on TikTok Shop, and making sure that you're leaving a video review as well, and making sure you're tagging me. I would love to see y'all's video reviews. So there's no other updates. So we're going to move right into the guest. Hi, Patricia. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored. So, welcome to the show. And we kind of just like roll right into y'all's lived experiences. So, kind of introduce yourself to the audience, and how did your story end up in the child welfare system?
My name is Patricia, and my story began when I was at birth, pretty much. But I remember being taken away permanently, I guess you could say, when I was 7. So anything before that was in and out of the foster care system, back and forth with my mother. And yeah, and then at 7, I remember CPS coming in their white marked car, coming and getting, at the time, my brother and I.
Hmm.
And then we went to it was supposed to be a short-term group home, but for us, we ended up staying there for over a year.
And what state was this?
We're in California, sorry.
California.
We are
Okay.
in California. And we went to a short-term group home, my brother and I, and it was only supposed to be a 6-month group home. We ended up staying there for a year. My sister, this was in 94, my sister was born. A foster family ended up getting my sister when she was 2 weeks old. They found out that she had brothers and sisters and came and got us. And
Okay.
so we were blessed. Like, I know, listen to other people's stories and other people's lived experience through the foster care system. Like, I was completely blessed to be able to be with my mom at the time. Had 94, she already had 7 kids. So yeah, so being able to stay with 2 out of all of those siblings was truly a bless. And my brother and I never got separated. We were together ever since. So that was truly like a blessing in disguise for us to be able to grow up together and have our experiences together.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So you were in this foster home. Was the only foster home that you had experienced? And was that so kind
So
of
we
go
were
off
there.
from
So we were there in that foster home, and there was a lot of things that happened within that home. Abuse happened. We ended up getting taken away from them. They had like whooped my brother and I so bad that it left bruises on my brother. And I'm 8, 9 years old at the time, and I reported it. Like I'm telling, like I'm bawling I remember bawling my eyes out, like I can't believe they did this to my baby. Like how could they hurt my baby? And they took us away, and we went to a group home for a week, and then it was a high group home too. And so we went there for about a week, and then they came back and got us. They were able to regain custody of us.
so wait, the foster parents were able to regain custody? Wait, because I'm
Make
trying
it
to
make
keep up with the
sense.
story.
No,
But I was like, wait, I'm thinking I'm gonna hear parents, but the foster parents?
the foster
How was
parents,
that possible
how in the
after
world
abuse?
we
How?
have, and they took pictures, like they came and pulled us out of school. They took pictures of my brother's legs. They took pictures of me, and they took me and my sister, my brother, and we went to a high security group home. And then about a week later, they came back and got us.
So I'm guessing the abuse got worse after they came back and got you guys.
It didn't. So that was his
Wow.
punishment. My brother did something that he wasn't supposed to do. My brother stole some money. Like
Hmm.
both of the foster parents worked in group homes.
Mm,
And he came home with the petty cash, and my brother stole some cash, and he got a punishment for it. So I think it was just based off of that, being that it was just a punishment. It was a one-time off thing. Maybe they were like, hey, at least they want to keep these three together, so we're gonna give it back to them. And my
mhm.
sister was a year old at this time, maybe two, and they had her since she was 2 weeks old. And so this was the only family she's ever known. And I remember being in the car, and she's like, "Don't worry, we're going to fifth grade camp. Like, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. We're just going to camp." Not knowing, having any idea what was
What
happening.
was going on? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was hard because it was a high security group home, and my brother was 7, I was 8, my sister was 2, and in a high security group home, they have like bars on all the windows, they have the bob fence and stuff like that. So my siblings never experienced that, going to that from a home to that. They're like, what in the world? Like I remember my sister was already potty trained and off the bottle, but they were like trying to feed her a bottle. And so I would have to go in there at nighttime and like sneak her food and like lay with her and stuff like that because they were trying to put her in a crib. She's like, "What is happening? Like,
What is going
this is
on?
not camp. I changed my mind. Take me home." She was not
She's like,
having it.
this is jail.
Real boy,
So,
yeah.
so you were there, then you go back to these foster parents. How long are you now with them?
Yep, we're there. My sister ended up living there until she ages out. I mean, she's still part of that family. Yeah. My mother, my bio mother, ended up getting custody of my brother when he was 16, 17 years old. She regained custody of him. And then I was 14 years old, a rebellious child, and, doing all these things as a teenager. The foster mom ended up kicking me out and giving me back over to my mother, who at 14, my mother signed her rights away, and I ended up in a permanent group home.
So so the foster mom gave you back to your mother. Your mother said,
I
I'm
didn't
going to
even
terminate
I
my
stayed the
rights."
night. I pretty much stayed the night. CPS was there early in the morning to sign the paperwork. So
Why
they had
didn't she
already
want to keep you like she kept your brother?
I couldn't follow rules. But
Well, girl, why couldn't you follow rules?
at that time, good question. But at that time I was 14. I had
Yeah.
already been raising my brother and sisters. I had been missing so much school when I was in 7th grade. I had missed so much school. They were like, your attendance is so bad, you're not going to go to 8th grade because I was staying home taking care of my siblings. So at 14, I'm already been a mother. Like I'm a mother. You
Mhm.
can't come tell me, like I've
You
been
know,
doing my
that
own thing.
that reminds me a lot of my niece. My husband and I took care of our niece for a year, and she was the older sibling. And like her mom adultified her to the point where like she was 12, 11, 12, cooking the foods, making sure like
Exactly.
doing side hustles for her brother so they can have money for food and things. And I wasn't aware of any of this because they kept it very hush hush. But one day she just calls me and says, Uncle, I need your help. And she moves here, and it was really hard trying to get her to be a kid. It
Yeah.
was like it was so crazy to me because for me, I was just like, girl, like you got a princess room. You got your
Yeah.
own shopping credit card. Like go have fun. She just wanted to be a boy. She wanted a boyfriend. She wanted to go on dates. I was like, you are not grown. But the thing is, she
She
was
was
grown for so long and
yeah,
there was no rules at all. So,
exactly.
it's I can understand. I can, and it was hard, but I wish that people wouldn't give up on children so easily,
Yes.
and then also I wish that other family members like myself step in and say, "Hey, you need some help, mom? Like, here, let me have it for a year or two. Let me see what I can do." Right? Because it does really take a village. But I definitely understand, not listening. Because I did listen some, but I was also that kid that was like, I'm already paying rent. I'm already paying you rent. I'm already paying for my own food. Why do I'm not
What am
gonna
I
listen
listening
to
to?
you.
Yeah, for what? And it wasn't like a sit down conversation with my parents and they were like, "Hey, these are the rules. I need you to abide by these rules." It was like, "You're coming to my house, you're gonna do what I said." I don't even know you. Like I've never lived with my birth mother after the age of
Mm.
7. And now going back at 15, 16, when I just raised 2 of your kids, I don't think so, ma'am. Like I don't think I'm about to be able to sit down and listen to anything you have to say, Miss Karen. It's not gonna happen.
He said, I
So
don't think so, ma'am.
mm-mm, mm-mm. And even
So,
before that, I
oh yeah, go
went
ahead.
to one day in the middle of the night. So my foster father, I say allegedly because there was no open case on it, but he had molested me and I
Mm.
reported it and there was nothing done about it, And then one night in the middle of the night, my foster mom and her 2 kids um, packed up a U-Haul truck and we moved to Arkansas in the middle of the night after I reported it for no reason. Like, never been to Arkansas. We don't even know what's happening. CBS didn't even know we went to Arkansas. Obviously, you can't take foster kids across state lines like that. Like, that's just not how that happens. She did. We moved to Arkansas, and I just remember we moved in with a friend. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and there was like 6 of us in there. And now I'm really stepping into that role of motherhood. Like I'm cooking, cleaning, not going to school, raising my sister, making sure my brother gets to school on time, picking him up from school, like things like that are happening. And at this time I'm only 13. One day my foster mom was just like, I can't take it no more. Like she's not doing good in school. My mouth was lethal. Like I would talk back, I was smart mouth. I was getting into a lot of fights at school because I couldn't control my mouth. Luckily, there was a lady there in Arkansas who was like, I'll take her. She just needs some guidance. She's a kid. Like, I'm not going to have you guys just kick her out. And I moved in with this lady. I had never met her, didn't know who she was, nothing. Moved in
Wow.
with her and her kids and her family. And I stayed there for a while, for about a year.
Damn, you just keep on moving.
This is all between the ages before I was 14. And so by the time I was 14, I being without my brother that long for a year, without my siblings, it was just really hard. I ended up coming back to California and moving back in with the same foster mom because she still legally had custody of us. And we,
Where's the social workers? Where are the check-ins?
there was no, like, I remember the last check in, I was 8. Like, I don't remember any check in after that. There was no one coming in to see us, no one stopping by the school. That was it.
Wow.
And they became our guardian. So they wanted to adopt us, but my mother wouldn't sign away her rights. My mother wouldn't agree to it. So they became our guardian. So in my mind, this is our family. This is our forever home. You can't get rid of us. What you gonna do? You can punish me. That's it. Like we're stuck with you. You're stuck with us. And so when we got back, we ended up moving to a small town in 29 Palms. And this town is so small, there was one high school. And we lived there. And again, at the same time, it was just the foster mom, the foster dad. I later found out, when I say later, I mean 2 months ago, I found out that he was not supposed to be in the home with any of us kids because of me reporting the abuse. And had no idea. And
Ain't
so,
nobody doing the working.
ain't nobody. And to make it worse, we found out that my foster mother and my mother, my bio mother, knew
Mhm.
each other back in the day and used to do drugs together. They used to get high together, and
Wow.
that continued. My foster mother continued to do drugs with my mother. We would go to like friends' houses, and my foster mom and my bio mom would be in the room getting high together,
Just in cahoots.
just in cahoots, just in cahoots.
So after you went with this nice lady, where did you go after that?
I went back to my foster home, my
And
original.
then how long do you stay there now?
Now I'm there. We moved to 29 Palms, and I do my freshman year. And of course, I'm fighting. I'm getting a lot of trouble. My grades are bad. So my foster mom, her daughter was like, I'll take her. Like, y'all doing too much. She just,
Everybody is, I volunteer for tribute.
And so I go and live with her. And so back then it was long distance. You couldn't have long distance on your phone. And so I moved in with my sister. My foster sister, she gets me. I have my own room. She's like, "You got your own room. You got this. You got that." I'm like, "Yeah, but you have to realize, like you said, it's hard to go from being an adult to a kid overnight. Like that's not something you transition." I never got
Mhm.
counseling. We never went. We never talked about what happened. It was like, the molestation happened. I never went to get got counseling for it. We never. I didn't. He wasn't in our. He was in and out of our lives. Like on the weekends, he would come out and I got to leave. Like I got to go outside and, be in the streets or whatever. But he wasn't in our lives like that. You know what I mean? Like he was like a
Mhm.
weekend time father, I guess. And so when I was living with my foster sister, I was just like out of control still, I guess you could say. Like my mouth, everything. She was just like, it was just too much. And she was young at the age when she got me. And so it was just too much. And so she was like, "You're going back to your mom." Like she tried to send me back to my birth mom. And I remember going to my birth mom's house and I stayed there. I was in summer school and I stayed there for about a month. And I went to a friend's house and I missed the bus. And my mom was like, "If you don't come back, you're not welcome back in my house." And I'm like, "Well, I can't come back. Like, I can't come back till tomorrow." She's like, "Well, if you don't come back tonight, your stuff will be outside." Sure as
Mhm.
shit, my mom put all my stuff outside. My friends went and picked it up the next day. And I was just out on the streets on my own. And then my foster mother ended up having to report me as a runaway so that they could have that on my record that I was a runaway child,
Mhm.
even though they all knew where I was. My foster dad had came and was like, "Get in the car." I was like, "I'm not going nowhere with you." He knew where I was. My foster sister, I was with hanging out with some of her friends, so she knew where I was. Everyone knew where I was.
This is what I always tell kids, like, when you end up in, like, an abandonment situation, just call the police and say, "Hey, these people abandoned me," right? Because it ends of the day, it saves you, and I didn't do that because I was just so afraid of the system, I was afraid of foster care. My mother never reported anything, so I was just out at 15, 16, just living, and thankfully, like, I survived, but I tell kids all the time, just j no, just call the police
Back
if you
then, I
can.
I was 14 and I was living the best life. It was summertime. I was having the best time of my life. I was hanging out in the streets. I was doing whatever I wanted to. We have like these little teen clubs. I was going to teen clubs. So I was living my best life. I wasn't reporting nothing to nobody. Like, catch me if you can at this point.
She said, "Catch me if you can." So, did you just live like you couch surfed?
They
How did
caught
you
me.
survive? They
I did.
caught
I
you?
I did couch surf. I actually stayed with one friend. Her and I just spent the whole summer together. I would just, you know, wake up and went to school. I was still in summer school, so I was still going to school. So it wasn't like I really ran away because if you wanted me, you could have just came to the school and picked me up. Like
Mhm,
they knew where I was at all times. It wasn't like
mhm,
I would just disappear. But for the system's sake, they had to report me as a runaway. So then I was at the teen club and my foster sister came to pick me up and she was like, "Let's go." I'm like, "No, I'm not going." So we ended up getting to a physical altercation at the club and the police are called, they come. They won't allow me to leave with anyone except for the person who reported me. So my foster mom had to drive out there to get me because she reported me as missing, as a runaway. And then they took me to a group home out in California, the high security group home, to try to drop me off. And the people were like, "No, ma'am, you drop her off, we're arresting you. You're going to jail for child abandonment. So
So
you leave me."
your
My
foster
foster
mom
mom.
tries to take you back to the group
They said, "No, ma'am, you are her guardian. You are her legal parent. You drop her off, we're taking you straight to jail. You don't have
as
to
they
go
should.
home, collect $200. You going to jail." And so I laughed. I of course had scratches, and they're like, "Why do you have all these scratches all over you?" I'm like, I got into a fight with their daughter. They're looking at their daughter. Like at this time, I'm 14. The daughter's 20 something years old. Like, why would you let this 20-year-old put her hands? They're like, "Oh hell no." Still didn't take me away. They were like, "Go back to your mom and dad. Go and get in the car. Go on, little girl." And so
Wow.
we got back in the car, and I'm laughing. I'm like, "You drive. Like, take me home." Like I'm going back home. And sure as shit, I had to go back home with them. And so I ended up going back to my foster mom. And like I said, at the time, my foster mom, my foster dad, they were separated. They weren't living together. We lived in one spot, he lived in another spot. And so I went back to the home with my foster mom. And I went there And by this time, it's my sophomore year, so I'm almost 15 years old. And I remember my mom coming, my foster mom coming to pick me up, and she's like, "I grew up in a group home, an all girls home, and we had our own our own phone, our own computers. Like, you're gonna love it." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You're going to love this place." And that's when I found out I was going to be sent to a group home.
Was it a group home or was it like a troubled teen institution?
Actually, it's actually an amazing group home. It's called
Is it?
San Pasqual Academy. I played sports there. I went to prom. I got a Letterman jacket. I got my high school diploma.
Okay.
Like it's not there anymore. Like they had closed it down because they're trying to take away group homes and do all that stuff out here in the state of California. So, but it was amazing. It was like a boarding school. I always tell people it's like a boarding school. Like I lived
Yeah.
there, you know, the only thing is, it's all the kids are foster kids. Like all the kids are coming from trauma and stuff. But I did have my own computer. Yay me. Even though this was back in '99 when like AOL was starting, so it wasn't really that big of a deal to have your own computer.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I went to this group home, and like I said, I was 15. It was the best thing. But before you can get to that group home, you have to be accepted. And so, because of my grades have been so bad, the school side was like, no, her grades aren't good enough. Like, no, she's struggling. We would have to do too much to catch her up, you know? And then they were like, well, let's put her in a foster home and you'll be there for 30 days. If you do good there in 30 days, we'll let you go to the group home. So I went to the group home about 3 times and had interviews. And each time they just kept rejecting me, rejecting me, rejecting me. And so my 30 days in that foster home went from 30 days to 60 days to 90 days before they finally were like, okay, we'll take you. You've done enough, work and stuff like that, that we'll take you. And so I was 15 by the time I went to the group home.
And did you say there till you aged out?
I did. I graduated high school there. Like I said, played sports, did everything.
Now, while you were there, did you ever go home to visit your foster parents at all, or did they ever come to visit you while you were there?
So my foster parents didn't visit me there, but I had my brothers and sisters. They would bring them. And while I was there at the group home, I would call my brothers and sisters and they would be on the phone listening, like doing supervised calls. And I'm like, hell no, you're not about to supervise my calls with my siblings. Like these, this is my kid. You ain't about to be out here just.
Not
And so
these my kid.
yeah. And then she like eventually cut it off so I wouldn't be able to call them and they couldn't call me. And she sought visits. So I actually took her to court when I was at the group home, called my social worker, like, hey, I can't see my siblings. We need to fix this. So we went to court and I fought my foster parents to be able to have visits with my unsupervised
As
visits
you
with my
should. As
siblings.
you
Yes,
should.
unsupervised visits. And so they would drop them off and they would spend the whole day with me in my group home. They would call me, write me letters, whatever it was. But yeah,
I
took
love
them
that. And
straight to court.
sometimes like people when you think of group homes, people think of like the lockdown, TTIs, like jail. But then there are places like Child Haven that I went to when I was in foster care that are more like we didn't go to school there, but there it was nice. They did a great job, right? They had a lot of activities. So I think that some kids do better in those settings than in these foster homes. And I think that's something to look at and to consider. If we can do enough regulation, make sure that there's the right people doing it for the right reasons, making sure we have like the correct background checks. I think kids do better in like boarding school type settings if they've had troubles, in every different
Staying home.
situation, right? Because here's the thing, some kids just won't do well in a home setting. Right. Some kids want to be grown and being in that setting because I got sent to a TTI and it was abusive. Like it was crazy. But after being there for like 6 months, I got so used to it. I was like, oh, this is cool because it was something that I could actually predict because I could never predict my mom. I could never predict these foster parents. There was always shit coming left and right. But that was the same schedule every single day, every single month, every single season. We did the same thing. It was so easy to give them what they expected because I already knew, right? And after like a year there, I was like, "Oh, this is better than at home." I had my own horse. And then I got able to get my own cabin. I had because they used to have us out sleeping in the like the wilderness with a like a sleeping bag and stuff. But then I got my own cabin. I had my own horse. It was like I was in the Wild West. It was really fun. And now that I look back at it, I was like, damn, like maybe they should.
And I
but then
did
kids,
great.
but then kids were like cutting off pinkies and like shattering ankles, and like kids were like some kids like beat up a person, like one of the staff, almost to death. It was dangerous. I just like kept my head down and like looked at the fun parts. Like it was a
When I
long
like look
camping
back now,
session.
like when I talk to kids now from Sam's School, they're like, even though we were there together, it's like they experienced something totally different. I'm like, I don't remember that happening. Like that happened. Like what? They taught us everything, like credit, how to write checks. Like we
Wow.
learned everything besides going to school to get our high school diploma as well. We learned other things as well. And like if you were failing your grades, you know, got in trouble, you were on punishment. They did all of that stuff. So it was really for someone who came from not having structure, from making my own structure to having that structure, I excelled at it. I did well at it. Like I
I
said, I was
love
able to
that.
play sports. I was able to do things with still having that connection with my family. My
Hmm.
bio mom, I never lost contact with her. So she was always in and out of our lives, visiting whenever she wanted to.
So how's that relationship now with your bio mom and your siblings?
My bio mom, every day it's a work in progress. Every day. Every day I have to wake up and be like, okay, it is what it is, you know, like every day.
Yeah.
My siblings, we still have the same relationship that we've always had. I ended up being able to meet um, two of the three that were adopted before I was born. I was able to meet two of them. I don't have a great relationship with them, but I know who they are, and that means a
Yeah.
lot.
I love that.
Yeah, when a couple years ago for shits and giggles, we took the 23andMe, and I ended up finding my bio father's family, his side of the family. And so they all passed. My grandmother and everyone passed, but I found them just in time where I was able to get all my grandmother's pictures and belongings and things like that that she had. And going through this box of my grandmother's, I find pictures, baby pictures of me and my brother that I've never seen. Like we don't have pictures
Wow.
before 7. And I'm like, how did this lady have this? You know? My mother said we never met her. Come to find out, we did. My mom just,
Wow. She'd be
yeah,
lying.
she'd be lying. She'd be out here just lying to the streets. Yeah. And we have pictures of it. And it was like, oh my God, like this is us when we were babies. You know, we've never seen this
Love
before.
that.
Yeah.
When my mom passed, I got my first baby pictures. It's something different to see yourself as a little kid. And then it unlocked so many different memories because like there were memories where like we were at birthday parties and like my kindergarten graduation. And I was like, I did have a lot of good memories, but like being in foster care, they really make you believe that like you had like just like this horrible, horrible life before. But it was like, no. But you know, trauma can do that. Trauma can make you forget a whole lot. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you got those
I don't remember
photos.
any of that. Like all the memories I had before 7, they're all negative memories. Like, oh,
Hmm.
like I remember houses being raided when I was with my mom. And luckily my grandfather is a retired fire chief, and so my
Hmm.
mom name dropped, and the police was like, "What the hell? Like, why are you here?" Gave my mom some money, and we did. While they were in there raiding the house, arresting people, luckily my mom name dropped, and we were able to get out of there.
Wow.
And we didn't get taken away, which they should have taken us right then and there, but they didn't. So my mom got her fixed and got her money, and we ran up out of there. And that's how I ended up getting to the group home too. My grandmother ended up writing a letter to the judge that was presiding over the group home, and he accepted me. And I'm pretty sure they made a hefty donation to the group home.
Oh, okay. So, what is your life like now? Do you have children? Do you I know you still you said it's a work in progress with mom and you reunited with your dad's side a little bit or at least know who they are. What how's life now for you?
Life is after you've learned so much trauma and learned so much about your history and about not just where you come from, but your history of going through the foster care system, and getting over all that trauma and still trying to learn how to heal from all those things. I've, struggled with that a lot, just trying to navigate life with abandonment issues and things like that. But now I'm married, no kids. I always say I'm allergic to kids. I have plenty of nieces and nephews. Between my husband and I, there's like 33 nieces and nephews.
Wow.
I'm good.
He's a no kid. Yeah, I'm not gonna have kids either. But I
Okay.
was like, no, thank you. But I got a few nieces and nephews, not plenty. I got a few, and that'll do.
I
And I
got some
help a
if you
bunch
want.
of other people's kids.
I got some if you want to borrow some. I got some. It's like they keep coming. We just had two more in October, so I mean, we got
Wow.
plenty of them.
Wow. I love that. So, do you speak to your foster mom at all?
She passed away. She passed. She came to my high school graduation, And that was the last time I seen her, and then she passed away. Yeah.
And you guys never really got to any resolution or
Nothing. I didn't get to ask her. And that was the hardest part to me, having to deal with all of these unanswered questions of like, why'd you kick me out? Or why'd you let this happen? Or why did this happen? Like just so many unanswered questions, just one unanswered and still are unanswered. Luckily, I
well,
can
I
like,
asked my adopted mom and then she just screamed at me saying, "You chose that." So like sometimes the answer is just not needed because they don't.
that's how it is with my mom. When I ask her questions, she's like, just leave it in the past. It is what it is. I'm like, no, I need to know how this happened. Were you out here just like, you know what? I'm gonna keep this kid. You take these two. I'm gonna keep this one. You take these three. Like,
Right?
how
How
did
was
this
this?
happen?
How did you decide which ones you was keeping?
How? Because she kept my oldest brother. Then the next three she gave up for adoption. Then she kept the next two. She gave up the next one. She kept the last. I was like, how did you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what were you out there doing? Just rolling the dice on kids? Like,
It's not rolling the dice.
I need to know what you're deciding because this is crazy work. Yeah,
And
there's a
she's
lot of
flipping a
us.
coin. She's like, "Heads up, I'll keep this one."
It tells you got to take two, not just one. You got to
You
take.
gotta take.
You got to take two, which is crazy. It's like,
That's insane.
yeah. But luckily, like my last sister, she never saw this foster care system. My mom got clean, got her stuff together. They were like, we're going to take her. And she was like, oh no. So she picked that one. The dice rolled good on that one. So she ended up getting clean. Like my mom has now 27 years clean.
Congratulations for
But
her.
in the, I say that and I'm like, oh, that's so great. But in the bigger scheme, it's like your oldest son is almost 40. He's 42 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not going to praise 27 years when you got a kid who's 42 years old. I'm sorry. I can't. You know what I mean? Like, that's good for you on your part. But in reality, that's not that great. It's not really not that
No,
great
like all of your children you harmed in some way,
in
except
some
for the
way,
last
except for
one.
the last one.
Oh, but then even the last one got harmed because she grew up with none of her siblings.
And that was the hardest thing too. I don't have a great relationship with her because I'm like, because she didn't live the same experience as us. And it was really hard. But I never looked at it in her point of view. Like, and when she said that to me one time, she was like, I grew up pretty much as an only child. Like I didn't have I am an only child, and that's how she sees her life. And I'm like, there's seven of us before you. Like, ain't no only nothing. But in reality, that's how it was. She grew up in a home with just her, just her mom, just her dad. Like there was nothing, no abuse, no drugs. She didn't have to go through that. So that's hard.
So how have you been able to process the trauma from everything that you've gone through?
Luckily, there is counseling, God, being able to read in my Bible and be able to turn to that, to God, being able to call on therapists, being able to talk about it to other people, even people who've experienced or who went side by side with me, talking about it. Even with you, when I see you on TikTok, I'm always in your comments in your lives, like, what? Why would you say this? Like, what is happening? And that's how I it actually found this was through your TikTok live and stuff.
Awesome.
And so just being able to talk about it, tell people about it. I love this when I was telling my boss before that I was doing this, and people would get so shocked, like, "Oh my God, you were a foster kid? You don't look like a foster kid, or
And
you don't
what is that supposed to
you
mean?
don't
Because people
sound
say
like a
that to me
foster
all the
kid."
time. They're like, well, you seem you don't look like a foster kid or an abandoned kid. You seem like your life is together. I'm like, yeah, because I worked hard.
I worked hard. You have no idea. I'm still working on like every day. It's like working, like trying to make sure my life doesn't fall apart. Or I'm that far away from being back into that same system or that same cycle. So it's like I'm like, yeah, I was. Thank you. Yeah.
That's
It's like you're
insane.
so humble. You talk so proper. I'm like, what in the hell? Yeah.
Well, you got to do what you got to do to survive out here. And honestly, with all them homes, I don't know how you even have a dialect because you just grew up with all these different people.
Was everywhere. And then I remember you were talking about how like your identity was taken from you because you were adopted. Honestly, we didn't find our identity until we got to our first permanent foster home. And we had been through a lot of foster homes, but I didn't learn about God or I didn't learn about things like that until I got to that foster home. And they taught us that, so in my mind, this was our forever home. You're giving us things that no one has ever given to us. Little did I know my mouth would get me into a lot of different homes, but I learned a lot in that. And I think that's where my foundation started. That's where I developed who I was going to be in the future. My siblings developed who they were going to be, So I think for us, and like I always say, in my situation, yeah, I went through a lot and a lot of things happened, but I was truly blessed to be able to go through a small part of what the system was. Like I was living on the edge of the foster care system versus having to go through everything that someone else's, other people's experience and stuff.
And it could be, but even what you went through was horrible, and no child should go through that.
No.
know? And it could be really hard to be like, well, damn, like no one should go through that. And it's really hard to, look at compare, because all trauma is valid, right?
Right, correct.
And all experiences are valid. And that's what's really important to remember. And it's really important to share. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your lived experience and sharing your story. And oh my God, I just can't, it's just so crazy. She just said, hey, take it and drop it. Just dropped you off.
Want it? Here you go. I went to a lot.
Like you was like a rag doll, just throwing you around. But no, Patricia, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Every week, I always ask all the guests, if there was one piece of advice that you could give a child with similar lived experience as you, what would be that one piece of advice?
Speak up. Use your voice for everything, because kids in the foster care system don't know. If you want to go horseback riding, tell them. They'll take you horseback riding. If you want, there's so many things out there for foster kids that we don't get to take advantage of because we don't know. Colleges are free. You want to become an actress, tell them. They'll put you in acting schools for free. Things like that. Just speak up for yourself. Use your voice in every sense of the form.
Absolutely. And use those resources, and don't be afraid to ask for more resources. So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And every week, like Shiners, I say, always shine your light, because you never know who you might be inspiring. You never know who you might lead the way for. And every story, no matter how big or small, is valid, because we can all learn something from them. So thank you for sharing yours, Patricia.
Thank you so much.
And Light Shiners, we will see you for our next episode of Wards of the State. Always shine your light, y'all.